Master wouldn't do. I take it General Grievous has been destroyed then. I must say you're here sooner than expected.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
Where do I even begin with this episode? Oh, yeah, that's right. I almost had to listen to this in Japanese because for some ungodly reason the uncensored version has no subtitles when I watch this. So I'm like, anyway, enough about my complaints about having to actually listen to this in a native language and not understand a fucking thing that is said. What did I think of this episode? Some interesting things happened. I'm not gonna lie, some very interesting things happened.
Giggity, 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 ooh.
So let's run through the episode, right? We start off with training, right? The good magical girls are currently training. They're trying to get better. They're doing their best Karate Kid impression, Bubbles, and putting her under a waterfall and trying to like have her meditate and release all of her all of her earthly desires and shit. Does it work all that much? No, not really. You could very much tell she's still turned on.
Who's ready for the main course?
Me.
Oh, Hanson, please. No. Oh.
What the fuck?
Be juicing out. This is your brains on drugs.
Then we move on from, the training, not even training. We move on from that little montage to the meat of the episode, which is kind of an episode focused around Leo. Yes, I'm calling her Leo. Somebody did mention this whole thing where I kind of accidentally, because Kiwi's magical girl name is like Leopard or something like that. I decided to call her Kiwi, and I'm calling the bad guy in this one Leo, so I'm still going to stick with it. It's just funny. So we have a moment between these two to show, in the aftermath of, getting the shit kicked out of her. From there, we also see a room. She's very much a narcissist, or very much, how can we say this much? She has a lot of confidence in herself. She has a lot of merchandise ready to go when she's like a big idol in the future. We move on to a very funny scene. I'm going to be real with you. This was honestly the funniest scene, I think, of the entire one of. But this one easily was the best comedy because it was like, Alice, Utena, and Kiwi are all sitting, and I think it was Utena's house or room, and they were just kind of talking, and they were saying some things that kind of made me laugh. I think the best line was when, I think it was Kiwi referenced the Lord Squad, and Utena's reaction was the most, like, flat, funny expression ever. She was like, we need to get those bitches. We need to kick the shit out of it. I'm just laughing my ass off hearing her talk like this. And the funniest part is, immediately after she called them bitches, creepy motherfucker for them shows up and goes, speaking of bitches, I sensed, Leo and failed idol girl. I can't even tell you how funny that was to me. That made me laugh more than it really should have. And so we get to kind of the meat of the episode, which is a battle between, obviously, our three magical girls that we are following and somewhat rooting for, I guess you could say, versus Leo and Loco. So, Loco is performing a concert, right? She's performing a concert in front of all of her adoring fans, a sea of them. Despite the fact that there's a little kind of hint, if you look at their character designs, of what the hell the truth is behind them, they're not really her fans.
What?
Just so you know. Spoiler alert, by the way. And obviously, Kiwi, Utena, and Alice are just watching this, and they're just going, well, she can't. Utena didn't hear her sing, so obviously she's not familiar with it. And then she hears Loco sing, and she's like, she's fucking terrible. Then a battle ensues, right? It was it was honestly, God, one of the better battle scenes I think I've seen in the entire show, to be frank with you, because it was a really nice battle scene, honestly, with some interesting powers showing off. Like, for example, Leo has the ability to control shadows. So essentially, as long as she can see, I think as long as she can see your shadow, or at the very least is within her own, I guess is the logic that they presented, she can control it. So I kind of found that interesting. The one thing I've always liked about battles is how do you counter your opponent if your opponent has, an advantage over you. Now, through some ingenuity and through some, teamwork, they were able to beat Leo and Loco. You might be curious, how? They essentially stuffed a bunch of Alice's dolls with flashbangs, and they blinded the shit out of Leo, thus rendering her essentially blind and unable to really see what the hell's going on around her. This allows Alice to trap her inside of her dollhouse. So you basically have effectively removed Leo from the battle. unfortunately leaves Loco in the position of what the fuck do I do? And so Utena, letting the Dom in her come out, basically said, hey, if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna crush your friend beneath my boot. So do what I say. Obviously, Loco is, let's just say, she's coming off of what happened, obviously, the end of the last episode, and is, generally speaking, not exactly inclined to believe her. And she actually assumes that Utena is exactly like Donbass in being this cruel woman. Unfortunately, or rather, no, fortunately, I should say, that is not the case, because what does Utena do? Utena says, take off all your fucking clothes. All of it. Now.
Giggity, 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 giggity. Ooh.
Obviously, while this is happening, this is where Utena reveals to Loco, hey, by the way, your friend was controlling the mob of people that were, like, your fans or whatever. So, yeah, sorry to burst your bubble. You really don't have any fans.
What the fuck is this?
And obviously, she's put in this position where, what do I do? So she sings, because Utena told her, sing while you're naked, and for some odd reason, her singing improves, and she also turns out to be an exhibitionist. Because I'm pretty sure there was a, how shall we say?
Yeah, boy.
Now, this was a critical moment for Loco, because Kiwi, Utena, they're all like, oh my god, you're so much better. I'm pretty sure Utena's case was she was just happy to see a cute girl prancing around naked, and just brought herself to orgasm through singing while naked. From there, we then have another big moment, which is Loco decides to change sides. She literally goes up to Utena and goes, hey, I'm going to be on your side from now on. Completely says, I'm abandoning Donbass completely. 100%. Along with Leo, by the way. This bitch had no say in the matter. Now, one other thing I do want to mention is we did get a bit of Loco's backstory. A little bit of it, anyway. About why, I guess you could say, she became who she did, which is she wants adoring fans because she's always had this dream of becoming an idol. And frankly, nobody, not her friends, not even her own mother, kind of thought she was a good singer. I mean, they're not wrong. She's not a good singer. And apparently, from what you guys have told me, like, they actually got a singer to play her character, which that's just even funnier to me. But yeah, so I guess that helps weave into the whole idea of, like, why she decided to join. Because here's 3 people who are supposed to be her enemy cheering her on, right? And saying, we're fans of you. And are not being forced to do so. That had a very big impact and ultimately led to Donbass losing 2 of her subordinates. And now all she's down to is big titty nun girl. Still won't die by snoo snoo. Now, the story doesn't end there. Or rather, that portion of the episode is just about finished up. What we then get is the rather comedic scene involving the trio of good magical girls, where, you know, we get a reminder to the Alice Dollhouse episode, because Bubbles is covering up her nipples and she's going, I'm kind of conscious around you guys because, well, both of you bit down on them, and I don't know how I, feel about that. Sulfur did not take too well to this comment and decided to pinch the shit out of her nipples. And that's generally the episode. I think it was, I think comedy-wise, I think this was probably it had the funnier moments, I think, for me personally. Especially with that portion with, Utena calling these bitches, we gotta stop these bitches, and, the comedic timing, for example, of creepy motherfucker for them. I found that amusing. I also thought it was interesting that we get to see that the good magical girls are trying to get stronger. I really did like this whole, when the creepy motherfucker for the good magical girls went, holy moly, zoinks, they're fighting amongst themselves. Sulfur said, and then obviously Blossom wanted to go fight them, because she's like, those are evil people, we need to go stop them right now. Sulfur's like, no. Let's wait and see who comes out of this. Because who comes out of this fight will be weaker, will be, tired, will be exhausted. Let them fight amongst themselves, and then whoever's left standing, we're going to come in there and gut punch them. And I'm like, I like that. Now, the other thing is, obviously, this whole changing of alliance is going to shake things up majorly moving forward. So I'm looking forward to see how that kind of shakes out. And yes, I'm assuming this is basically going to be Loco kind of has this moment where she thinks she's going to get punished, and then she actually gets to experience what quote-unquote punishment is like from Utena, and she's like, I prefer this much better over being cruel, treated cruelly like I was with Donbass. But man, orgasming while you sing.
Oh, wow. I just had the weirdest dream.
You know you're driving, right?
Ah!